So everyone, welcome to the July 13th, 2020 Grafton Board of Health meeting. As a preliminary matter, this is Karen Gwiazdowski-Govin, Chair of the Board of Health. Permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. So members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Dan Finn.
Aye, here.
Austin Magnet.
Austin Magnan is here.
And Josh Briggs. You're on mute.
Muted.
There we go.
Sorry.
There we go.
Josh Briggs here.
All right, thank you. All right, staff, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Nancy Connors.
Nancy Connors here.
All right, and then anticipate speakers, please respond in the affirmative. Phil Legere from the Alliance.
Yes, here.
All right. So I'd like to open the meeting. Can I get a motion to open the meeting? Please, when you make a motion, state your name, members.
Dan Finn, I make a motion to open this meeting.
All right, in a second.
Austin Magnan, I'll second that motion.
All right, and then all in favor, when you respond, please respond individually and include your name.
Aye, Dan Finn.
Aye, Austin Magnan.
Hi, Josh Briggs.
I, Karen Gwiazdowski-Govin. All right, so moving along, good evening. This open meeting of the Grafton Board of Health is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we've been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted on the town's website at www.grafton-mass.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting, if there are any topics that we have on here, can have public comment. For this meeting, Grafton Board of Health is convening by video conference via Zoom, as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other folks may be able to see you and that you take care not to screen share your computer because anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials have been provided to members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. In terms of ground rules, when we first, before we turn to the agenda, allow me to cover some of the ground rules for effective and clear conduct of the business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. So I will introduce each speaker on the agenda, where there is a speaker. After any remarks are concluded, I'll go down the line of members, inviting each by name to provide any comment, questions, or motions. Please hold until your name is called. Further, please remember to mute your phone or computer when you're not speaking, and remember to speak clearly and in a way that helps generate accurate minutes. For any response, please wait until I, the chair, yields the floor to you and then state your name before speaking. If members wish to engage in a discussion with other members, please do so through myself, taking care to identify yourself. If there are any items with public comment or questions, then please, as the public who may be attending this, please submit any questions you have through the Q&A function in Zoom. Please ensure that you use your full name and address when you submit the comment. And then I, as chair, will read the public comments that have been received and answer them accordingly, or have whichever member or staff or someone from the Alliance, depending on what the issue is or the question is, answer accordingly. And then finally, each vote taken in the meeting, if there are any, will be conducted by a roll call vote. So all that being said, we can now actually move to our first agenda item, which is the Alliance update. So Phil, take it away.
Well, my first day back, so I'm still playing catch up, but a lot of stuff came out last week for guidance, which actually I thought was pretty good for the first time. I think they actually got some clear guidance. I know we've been almost screaming. So, outdoor recreation, youth, adult, amateur sports activities, the level of risk in youth, adult, amateur sports activities, beach services expanded, parks and municipal public space increase activities and amenities. It looks to be fairly comprehensive. Camping in public, semi-public swimming pools expansion, seasonal outdoor recreation, parks, for hire, actually even have boating activities, fishing and hunting. So it's pretty good guidance that I'm seeing. I haven't really gone through it, but the clearer we get guidance, then that's better that we have it. They actually have some live entertainment also. Differentiating between indoor and outdoor. They're still talking about singing and wind instruments to be the more concern because of the projection. So inside, they're actually saying no singing or wind instruments, and then outside, they're talking about separating people 10 feet on stage and 25 feet from the first people row or wherever they are. And then they're also recommending wind instruments. I've played in a band, and our sax player, maybe they'll come up with like a wind screen or a spit screen. I mean, I don't, something, but I mean, they're blowing through an instrument. So they actually differentiated that. So I think that's a good thing for our purposes, because the clearer the guidance is, the better we're able to give people guidance. We're trying to get our crew some time off just to give us a breather, which has been very welcome. So if you have specific, there's a call tomorrow. Again, they're doing their Tuesday, Friday call, so I'll be in on that call, see what any other updates. We're still overall just from other Alliance towns. We're getting stuff like from doctor's offices. Well, Quest Diagnostics for one, Home Depot. I mean, again, folks, as you relax some of these guidances, COVID's not disappeared, so people still have to take precautions. And then they just sent something down today to forward complaints to your local Board of Health. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I saw
And
that.
your local Department of Labor Standards. So we have a direct, the Michael Flanagan guy that's on the calls. I have his email. He's been pretty responsive to us. So, and then Ron O'Connor's office and Mike Laughlin, they've been pretty responsive to us. So we'll just keep it going forward. The next big thing, as you all know, is the school plan, which they're supposed to all turn in by the beginning of August. And there's no magic wand there as to how to make that happen safely. So it's going to be very interesting, and we'll help out as much as we can. They're supposed to come up with either back in school, try to keep them in pods, trying to find space that you can spread them out some kind of hybrid where they come to school alternating days. So you can use the space better. And then the third option is remote learning, which if I'm listening to parents, they're not for that. I think we're going to fall into between, some kind of hybrid initially, kind of get going. But that's going to be the next big thing for us and everyone to work on.
Phil, this is Karen. There was one thing that came up, Phil, during last week's weekly Board of Health staff meeting around, is there any clue yet when senior centers can open?
Actually, they have on the guidance, I'm actually looking at it right now, local determination in compliance with COVID safety rules and gathering orders. So again, that's our most vulnerable population. So, one of the things they were talking about is, allowing, some of the one-on-one type, activities, counseling. Then, we start getting indoors. Again, as if you're outdoors with no cover or structure, and you're spacing, you can have more people, and then it starts going down outside in a structure, then inside. So the guidance actually have a link. So it's on that outdoor guidance.
Okay.
So it's going to really depend. I don't see, and again, if you follow the COVID, exercising, you're sweating and you're breathing hard, but that's a higher risk activity. And then, you have a big gym and, which activity would they feel safe in limiting the groups to do a specific activity. But I think you have to kind of roll it in step by step, depending on space. That's one of the other things they talked about was, not every council on aging is the same.
Yeah.
Some have space, some are, so talking about Grafton, you have a big gym.
Yeah.
I could see some type of activity with spacing. They talk about more than 6 feet if you start doing some kind of activity. The beach blanket thing where they have 12 feet would probably be more appropriate. Do low impact yoga possibly. I'm just kind of talking out loud. But again, we're talking about our most vulnerable population. Even with the spacing, the recommendation is to keep your mask on. Then that really depends on, the type of activity. Some people feel really restricted. I know my friend has asthma and he wears his mask, but after a while, he knows he has to not spend a lot of time doing that. So, so it's not one size fits all.
All right.
So,
At least it's something. It's better than where we were, where it was
Yeah.
radio silence.
yes.
All right. Dan, Austin, or Josh, anyone have any questions for Phil?
No, well, welcome back to reality, Phil.
Well, I never left reality, but I shut my phone off for the
I was
day.
I was glad to see you not responding to emails that you were copied on.
Right.
So I only had 313 this morning. So on the 13th of July, I figured that was appropriate. So,
Right.
but anyways, I am back. So
I was just curious also, this is Dan, if Julie and Danielle are going to be on for the next couple of weeks, or do they have time off at this time of year? Do you know?
Julie's at the end of the month into August.
Yep.
And Danielle's going to have like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday right now. We're working that up. That's also will be in August.
Yeah.
And we're about to bring a new person on. So we're in the process of going through references, and so that person should be on sometime early August. So that gets us another person in the flow, which and this person's has experience. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's great because the workflow's been
Yeah.
pretty rough.
Oh, I totally understand it, and no one plans for certain things to happen, but things happen, and you have to go from there. So yes, so
Thanks.
so that's that part.
All right. So if there's nothing else, I think we shall move on. Thank you, Phil.
Right.
All right. So reorganization of the board, which is an annual event.
This is Dan, and I have a suggestion. I might make a motion and then we could discuss it, but maybe I should do it that way. I'd like to make a motion that we postpone the reorganization until next meeting, until we have a full board, and just keep everybody in the same positions for now. I don't know what people think.
I think that's a good idea. This is Austin. I'll second that motion.
Okay.
I think it would be better to have a full crew before we started reorganizing.
Yeah.
Josh?
Sounds good to me. This is Josh. Sounds good to me.
Sounds good to me. All right. So then we have a motion. We have a second. All in favor?
Dan Finn, aye.
Austin Magnan, aye.
Josh Briggs, aye.
Karen Gwiazdowski-Govan, aye. All right. Motion passed. All right. I'm not going to spend too much time on the COVID-19 updates since Phil covered a large amount of, or almost everything I think I had written down for notes. Other than as of yesterday, Grafton's been informed of a total of 97 confirmed positive COVID-19 cases in town. So not that I want to jinx us, but it's been a slow, it's really slowed down. And then we've had like a couple extra new cases and then it's been quiet again. So knock on wood, it continues on a slow path like that with multiple days without having any new cases. So the only other topic that I just want to quickly cover on COVID-19 is that during one of Governor Baker's updates, he reiterated that phase 4, which is the bars, overnight camps now, like the large capacity, the big capacity venues, that he reiterated will still not happen at this point in time until there's a vaccine or an effective treatment. Because I think he reiterated that because a lot of people have been asking or got confused because originally he said, oh, there's a minimum of 3 weeks in between each phase. We might slow down, we might roll back, etc. So I think everyone forgot that original set of slides where it said phase 4 will not happen until there's that vaccine or effective treatment. And a lot of people have been asking, I'm sure a lot more people have been asking the state than me or us. So I'm sure that's why he reiterated that. So people don't think that 3 weeks after phase 3, part 1 started, we'd magically be in phase 4. So we shall see. At this point, I'm just hopeful we don't have to roll back on anything and that we keep progressing in the right direction versus some other states which have been going in the wrong direction. So, then there's nothing else on that topic unless there's anyone, Dan, Austin, Josh, anything else you want to cover on the COVID side? No, I'm seeing shaking heads. All right. The weekly, as I alluded to, we have weekly Board of Health department head meetings via Zoom regarding COVID-19. And we started these back in March, sometime when this all first cropped up. It started off as the initial conversation was, let's get everyone together, police, fire, ambulance, the department head school to powwow and discuss what we're going to do. Because of course, at first there was all sorts of actions we wanted to take and things we need to discuss, but we've been continuing them on a weekly basis because, as we know, the reopening guidance has been changing on a regular basis. We talk about what the cases are, questions like the senior center question came up during that, talking about recreation, et cetera, et cetera. So we've been keeping those, and I foresee them continuing for an unknown amount of time at this point. Sometimes they're quick, sometimes they're lengthy. It all depends on what the topics are, and who's attending at the time. So I think they're valuable because it gives a forum for the other departments in town to, if they have questions or they saw something or have a concern, it's a standard time that they can chat with us and we can figure it out. And the Alliance joins us, which is great too, because it helps with answering the questions that sometimes we just don't know because we personally haven't in town dealt with it yet. All right. The next topic is one that I really wish we weren't going to have to talk about, but it is unfortunately Triple E and West Nile virus season. As I'm sure everyone has seen on the news, although nothing around here has had a positive mosquito yet for Triple E or West Nile. There have been, last I knew, 2 Triple E positive mosquitoes elsewhere within the state and 1 or 2 West Nile positive mosquitoes. So because now this year we're now part of the Central Mass Mosquito Control Project, the CMMCP has already been out doing all sorts of preventive maintenance. They've done some spraying where requested for homeowners or property owners. They've already, been doing surveillance, which is one of the biggest benefits, if not the biggest benefit in my mind, because thinking of last year, we didn't know what was out there until we unfortunately learned quickly what was out there in our mosquito population. And it's not that, like everything, it's surveillance. I'm not saying that every single mosquito is obviously being trapped, but we did not have the benefit of having the project doing the surveillance. We weren't getting surveillance until we had that positive and the state worked to get us under surveillance and everything. So unfortunately, it's predicted to be the second year of the 2 to 3 year uptick in the cycle. So people have already been started to be reminded. It's up on our website, was up probably months ago and continues to be up there about not only mosquito season and prevention of mosquito bites and what precautions to take, but also it's tick season, as we know. So we still have Lyme and other tick-borne diseases that people need to be cautious for. The governor already came out after those first Triple E positive mosquitoes and reiterated about using the bug repellent, be careful in the evening, et cetera, et cetera. One thing I did want to mention is up on our website for the Board of Health, we also, besides having information on resources about, say, tire pickup and what the Mosquito Project does, there is a form for those property owners who don't want to be in a spray zone. So there's an exclusion form that they can fill out, and that form is posted. Actually, it's its own link, I think, on our website, so they don't have to drill down to try to find it. So unfortunately, I'm sure there'll be more to come as the season picks up, but because we have the project now that's working with us, we're already what I would call ahead of the game compared to last year. With that, we did have, as people know, graduation, high school graduation is coming up Sunday evening. It was during the daytime originally, and then it got moved to 7 p.m. start time on the field because of social distancing, et cetera. In order to actually have an actual graduation, they had to comply with all of the restrictions and the guidelines that are out there. So the school department came to us today, I think it was Nancy, unless it came over the weekend, asking should the high school field be treated, sprayed by the Mosquito Control Project, if they could even do it, prior to Sunday evening's graduation, knowing that it's a 7 p.m. graduation and we have started the season now. So I've been seeing there's conversations back and forth between the mosquito control project, the town, Superintendent Cummings, because there's some requirements beyond just can the mosquito control project get out there in time to do it, which it sounds like they can, and there's no cost to the town because we're part of the project. But there are some requirements that need to be worked out between the mosquito control project and the school department around, if there anything needs to be posted, etc. So that if we, the Board of Health, provide the recommendation to say, yes, we agree it should be sprayed prior to graduation, all of that will need to be handled between the mosquito control project and the school department to make sure they get all of that tied up and ready. So,
And,
Yep.
excuse me, this is Dan. Have we found out if there's any, they were talking about Thursday night. Is there any, are there any other activities going on? Do you know?
I had mentioned that to Nancy because I thought of that. I'm like, oh, good, they can do it if we all agree. But then I thought, knowing that the fields are open
Right,
and facilities are open, the last thing I would want to see is a bunch of organized, I don't know, baseball practice, lacrosse practice, whatever, on the field, and then they're going to want to come by and spray.
right.
And there's also, even if recreation comes back and says, no, there's nothing planned, I think there should be something posted. Could we
Right.
lock the fields? Because you still have the public who could come down onto the field. So Nancy, I don't think you had heard back yet from recreation.
No, I have not.
All right, can you follow up tomorrow, unless for some reason, we decide as a board we don't want to recommend it, but, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but.
Sure.
Can I, this is Phil, can I make a comment?
Yes, sir.
If they're moving it to the nighttime, to the 7 PM, which is prime time for mosquitoes, highly recommend that they do spray, because the mosquitoes are out and they are biting. And they have to do notification because it's a school, so they have to follow all that. And then mosquito control folks to tell you how long people should stay off it. They use a fairly fast acting. It's not doesn't have a high residual. It's more of a knockdown. You call up Mosquito Joe and they use one that's going to hang around and have a residual. So that's something that that's in the school. If they work that out, then they'll let you know when the field should be shut and when it can be opened and what you have to do for posting. But if they're going to do it for 7, it's really a good idea.
So Karen, excuse me, this is Dan again, but so do we need to vote something to the effect that if they can work out all those parameters, that we think it's a good idea?
Yep, so that would be someone would need to, make a motion one way or the other. Obviously, we would need the second, we would need the roll call vote,
Okay,
however we want to vote for it.
And that would be just to recommend it? Or would it be to actually?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
yeah,
We recommend it, yep. School department's looking for our recommendation, kind of pretty much our thought, do we feel it's a good idea or not? Not that we have to mandate it, but are we behind having them have it sprayed, pretty much?
Yeah, okay.
All right, so someone want to,
sure. I'll make a motion that that the Grafton Board of Health recommends that the town and the school system employ, at no charge, obviously, the Central Mass Mosquito Project to treat the high school field prior to the graduation services ceremonies, as long as they can put in the proper precautions in place.
This is Austin Magnan. I will second that motion. I think it's a good idea, especially in that area with the lake there and the wetlands. It's prime mosquito breeding ground. So I'll second that motion.
All right. All in favor by roll call?
Dan Finn, aye.
Austin Magnan, aye.
Josh Briggs, aye.
Karen Gwiazdowski Govan, aye. So motion passed. So Nancy, when you reach out to superintendent and whoever else was on the email trail now, Central Mass Mosquito Control, now it comes down to, we obviously recommend it, or strongly recommend it. And now it comes down to them coordinating it and what needs to be done, like Phil said about, when does it need to be shut down? When can it be reopened? What type of signs need to be posted? Any notifications, etc., which should, for the most part, I would think, be able to be worked out between the Mosquito Control Project and the school department, the way it sounded from what I saw earlier.
Right. And they've only got Tuesday and Wednesday, really, to get all this information out to the townspeople.
Yeah.
Yeah, once they work it out, this is Austin. Once they work it out, could they let us know so we can post it on our website as well, that it will be sprayed and at what time? And
Yes, we'll put on Facebook and
yeah.
Thank you. The only other part of the whole EEE West Nile topic was we, via the Mosquito Control Project, received a complaint around potential beehive die-off related potentially, because it hasn't been fully investigated by the state yet or anything, or the Mosquito Control Project, in the area of Wesson Road, that there had been some mosquito spraying by the Mosquito Control Project earlier or prior to that. And then they noticed some folks with beehives in the area noticed some beehive die-off. So there's a protocol that gets followed in terms of investigating. They can even figure out, from what I could gather, whether, what potentially caused the concern or the issue with the bee die-off, because obviously, as we know, Mosquito Control Project applies certain chemical or chemicals, but then there are other, like I think Bill referenced some Mosquito Joe or whatever, lawn care company might apply something else. So there's, that's part of the investigation to see, what actually caused this. Was it potentially the Mosquito Control Project? Was it something that's not the Mosquito Control Project, what they would ever apply? So at this point, it's more of an FYI that we received the complaint via Mosquito Control Project, and they wanted to keep us informed, obviously. So I'm sure there'll be more to come on that once the state does their investigation and they come up with a conclusion. All right. Next up, influenza clinics, because flu season will be here before we know it, unfortunately, for the 2020-2021 flu season. Nancy, if you want to go over where we stand with how many doses and that what Pat had said in terms of, like, so far, what the idea is, for.
sure. So we have pre-booked 180 doses. That does not count if we go into the schools.
Okay.
That's a separate. So it's really going to be difficult to do as we have the past couple of years down in the health department.
Mm.
I don't know if we can go into the gym. I checked with Barbara Conley today. If the senior center is not open, I suppose we can go in the gym. One way in, one way out.
Yeah.
And then Pat had actually mentioned a drive-through at the high school. Mm-hmm.
It'll be a good practice for
Right.
a
EDM.
different, I'm thinking like the one way in, one way out. Obviously, the flu clinic is nowhere near as large as, like, down the line, if we're going to have to be responsible for helping disseminate the COVID-19 vaccine that hopefully will exist. But we've practiced, every year we practice how to do it in the actual, like, high school with the gym and the one way in, one way out. Like, we've always talked about, someday we might have a drive-through version of something that we need to do, whether it be handing out medication doses or vaccines. maybe we should think about, the logistics around potentially doing drive-through.
Yeah, this is Dan. I think it's a good idea. Maybe even a double lane. I think there's going to be a pretty big demand for the flu vaccine regardless this year. Regardless which strain is involved. But anyhow, yeah, I think it's a good idea to look at that possibility.
So we just have to find a date that there's no school
Mm.
and check with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it's drive-through, ideally, you don't want to be doing it when it's a high chance of being bad weather.
Right.
It's not going to be like 95 out, but we don't want to be doing it when we're running, a decent risk of snow or anything
Right.
like really cold temperatures.
Yep, maybe
Last year, I think we did it in October last year.
I think so.
I think it was.
this is Dan. I was going to say maybe Columbus Day if there's no school that day, but anyway, that's like usually the 12th of October.
Yeah, that'd be the 12th.
Something in there might work.
That's if they are in school.
Mhm. All right. Next topic is the Board of Health member vacancy from Debbie having left us. The awesome news is we have 7 applications for the one Board of Health member vacancy, many with some strong health medical experience. I have no clue, but it might be a record because we all know how hard it is to get people to volunteer for a board or committee. So I was floored when I saw that there were actually 7 applications. So that was wonderful. It made me feel very proud. Especially, I'm sure, it drove even more so because everyone is so concerned about the pandemic. So more and more people want to help out, which is awesome, obviously. In terms of where we stand at this point, tomorrow night, the select board has it on their agenda that they're going to discuss what the process will be to review the applicants and then actually do the appointment, because ultimately the select board does the appointment of the individual into that vacant spot. In prior years and situations where we've had vacancies, typically it's been be the Board of Health, have a chance to review the applications. We've never had this many people apply. So, typically we'd have 1 or 2, and then we'd have both of those individuals, or 3, if there were 3 individuals, come in and kind of interview with us. And then we would decide, okay, here's our recommendation for the top 1 out of the 2 or top 2 out of 3, whatever the case may be. And then the select board would take and do their own interviews and take our recommendation that we had submitted. And then they would make the ultimate decision of who would be appointed. I don't know yet what the process will be, which is why we didn't go down the path of saying, well, let's have people come in virtually tonight to start discussing with us, because I don't even know if we're going to be doing interviews or we're just going to look on paper and say, okay, here's our recommendation based on paper. So I didn't want us to not only, waste individuals' times potentially coming in to meet with us if in the long run we're not going to have that true opportunity. So I think really at this point it's more to come after tomorrow night's meeting.
Yeah, this is Dan. I'm hoping that the select board allows us to go with that previous process and at least have some input. I mean, ideally, I think if we could look at the 7 as a group, if we could look at the 7 applications and backgrounds and all of that, and letter of interest, and narrow it down to 1 or 2 people. And again, as you said, recommend to the board, it's their ultimate decision. But at the very least, I hope that after tomorrow evening, whatever the process is determined to be, that we, Nancy, or the town, or somebody can get a letter back to these 7 people, because I don't think there's been any communication as to what the process is and what the time frame is, because realistically, it's going to take a couple of weeks, I think, to sort through all that.
Agreed. And Josh, Austin, any comments? At least at this point in time.
Does it make sense for us to put together some sort of email to the select board prior to their meeting tomorrow? Just say, hey, this is what what that process that you just mentioned, is that something, because I know it hasn't always worked like that, and that hasn't always made everybody so excited about the process. So
I actually planned, I reached out to Peter. I planned, because there's a couple topics on tomorrow night's agenda. One's MRC and one was the Board of Health vacancy. So I said, would you like, me to attend in case questions come up or you want to discuss? So I plan to, as long as there's no emergency or anything, attend tomorrow night's meeting as an attendee, just to provide input. So
okay.
around, that obviously for some reason I can't make it, then, we could always put together something quickly, to say what we discussed in this.
Perfect.
All right, so more to come on that, and thank you again to everyone who has applied. We're looking forward to hearing what the process will be and moving forward and getting a new member. All right, tobacco regulations. So this is nothing new for because a question came up, the reason I'm prefacing it this way is someone reached out to the board asking if we were determining or looking at new regulations ourselves as a town, because we've done that in the past. This is actually, the state had made updates to the state regulations, which of course we have to, go along at a minimum with what the state tells us we have to do with these types of things. And so we need to incorporate the state's updates into our existing regulations for tobacco. There's already some of it that's the same thing, but there's some areas that need to be tweaked. So it comes down to, do we want the Alliance to assist, or do we as the board, I should say, want the Alliance to assist, as they've done in the past with other regulations, with getting the updates made, and then we review them and then we vote on them for the regulation? Or would we rather do it kind of ourselves with maybe town council guidance or something? So I want to open it for discussion.
Yep, this is Dan.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems to me the Alliance has the experience, and with what's going on in the other towns, it's going to be a little bit easier, to put together a proposal, and then we could review it.
This is Josh. I agree with that, Dan.
Yeah, this is Austin. I agree with that as well. It seems like it'd be best to get the Alliance involved, as we have in the past.
All right.
Phil here.
Yep.
I think Joshin was sending up what you have to update just to be in line with the state law that came in the beginning of June. I'm not sure if that went out. Did that go out to you, Nancy, or yeah?
Yes, I sent
Joshin?
it, I forwarded it to the board.
Okay, so that basically would be the update that incorporates the state new law into, that's basically what you would be doing. So you could put that on the agenda for next meeting,
Right.
for discussion and vote. And all you're doing is blending the state law into your existing tobacco
Right.
regulations, so there's
Regulations.
no conflict.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, we can take a look at what was sent over, and obviously if we have questions or are not lost, it's not the right word, but need guidance on the best way to incorporate something, then we can reach out accordingly. But
Yeah.
Now, Josh and from the Alliance, she's going to be leaving, so we will
Yeah.
not be dealing with her anymore. So she sent it to me and I sent it to you, so you can look at it and determine if you think you do need to send it to town council or just have it incorporated by the Alliance.
Yeah, this is Dan. Yeah, I think between now and the next meeting, if we figure on putting it on the agenda for the next meeting, between now and then, we can all get a chance to look it over. And if we have any concerns, we can get back to Nancy and or Karen.
Yeah, when was that email sent? I'm looking real quick right now. I must have looked over it. Within the last, oh, here it was 6/19, it looks like. Yeah, I looked that over.
All right. So that leaves October, November, December meeting schedule. So October 12th is Columbus Day. That's the second Monday. So our September meeting is going to be September 14th. So October 12th probably would have been the right Monday for our next monthly meeting,
Yeah,
but
that's
it's Columbus Day. October 19th should be the scheduled town meeting. So that leaves us with, I have to pull up my calendar. The 5th of October, which would be like 3 weeks. Or we'd have to go to the 26th, which I don't think I'd want to, at least me personally, wouldn't want to be like a month and a half plus in between meetings, especially given everything going on right now. We'll be on the tail end of EEE season. We'll be in the uptick of flu season, vaccine, et cetera, going on. And who knows where we'll be with COVID.
I actually won't be able to make it on the 5th of October.
Yeah.
I'll be away, but I can always probably call in or something like that, actually. I just won't be by my computer, but I could call in on my phone.
Maybe by then we'll actually be back in the building and we can, call you in via the normal kind of remote participation
Right.
option. Maybe. I guess we shall see where we all are by that point.
This is
Dan?
Josh. I agree with you, Karen. I think the 5th is a better option rather than waiting until the 26th.
Yeah.
Yep, Dan, I say the 5th sounds good.
All right.
We'll miss you though, Austin.
Yes.
Well, the way things are going, my vacation will probably get canceled or postponed again. It's actually a rebook of a vacation from April. So
I feel your pain.
yeah.
My June, July vacation is now next September because we booked it like super far out going. There better be a vaccine by then. We don't want to try to rebook it again.
I was too optimistic in April.
Okay, so October 5th, which then would be like 1 month from that would be November 2nd. Or you could go the 9th, but I'm thinking like in December, often we'll do 2 meetings because of all the permits that need to be signed. So maybe do we stay with 1 month out, which would be November 2nd, and then we could do like December 7th, which would be another month, and then like the end of December.
Yeah. I like that.
November 2nd, Dan, Josh.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yes,
Given
sorry.
everyone's
I'm
current-
over here.
Yeah,
This is Josh. I was nodding. I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. It's like given everyone's current schedule in their life, that we
Right.
know of, what our lives will be at that point in time, or trips and stuff. All right, so if we do like just the way December falls, it's actually 5 weeks from November 2nd because the 30th is also a Monday.
Oh yeah, right.
Just was looking ahead to December. I think if we stick with the 2nd and then we will be like a week late by doing it on the 7th, unless people think we should wait till November 9th and then do the 7th and then the 28th of December.
I'm really good with either one.
Yeah, the second's fine.
2nd, okay,
I
and
think
then
so.
December 7th,
Yeah.
Yep,
and then we'll plan on December 28th
Yeah.
Yeah.
because that way hopefully we can get a bunch of permits in those two. And if for some reason, by some miracle, like we're all able to start traveling again freely and we're like, hey, fine, we need to move it to November 9th, we still have time.
Yeah.
Karen, I think the 9th may be a holiday. Isn't that Veterans Day?
I get Veterans Day off and it's a Wednesday at my work.
Okay, all right.
Because I looked ahead when I was pulling up Columbus Day and the town meeting in October, because I know we usually get stuck with those two in a row for October. Google, Apple, and my work calendar all say Veterans Day is the 11th.
Yeah.
Isn't it always the 11th?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's not one of those where they decide to have it on a Monday all the time and the day itself changes.
Right.
All right, so I got that. So any old or new business? No. Mail or correspondence, Nancy?
No, you would have had it.
So then our next two upcoming meetings are August 10th and September 14th.
Yeah.
At this point in time, I have no clue if we'll still be remote for the August 10th. It's a month away. Who knows?
True.
Yeah, they might be able to squeeze us into a room, separated. What would be 6 people or something like that. But this really isn't so bad either.
It's
There's a
really
refrigerator's right around the corner. So I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
This is Austin Magnet. I'll second that motion.
all right. Roll call vote, everyone.
Dan, I.
Austin, aye.
Josh, aye.
Karen, aye.